Hello, 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 hello. Good evening to everyone. I would have promised you guys that we would be back at 7, myself and Mr. London. One of the most viral videos today on the internet, who have been enlightened and spreading his most recent concern of corruption in Guyana. I'm going to bring him on like I promised you, so we can have this discussion and he can have a chance, so we can have a chance to hear for you. We can all have a chance to hear what some people are being faced with. And in this case, it's important to note that I think everyone should be treated fairly. It doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter because he's a Jamaican contractor. It shouldn't matter. What matters is what he's currently facing and what needs to be highlighted. Because being chairman of VPAC, I would have publicly stated that one of the reasons I was encouraged to start this movement is because of some of what I myself would have experienced. And I don't believe anyone, can you guys hear me? Can you drop a comment? Because I'm using my earpiece. Can anyone just confirm they're hearing me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Why am I not seeing the comment section? Can someone just type, yes, you can hear me? Can someone just confirm you can hear me? Is my comment section mute or something? I'm not able to confirm if you guys are able to hear me or not because I'm not seeing any comments. I don't know why if I'm doing something wrong here. One second. So I'm back. Able to hear me or not? I was trying to get another phone wrong here. I'm pretty new to this, obviously. Um, Perfect. Someone just confirmed yes. I'm seeing the comments now. I'm on a live. Perfect. I'm seeing the comments now. Hello, everyone. I'm excited because I'm actually able to see the comments now. Someone loud and clear. Love it. So we got 136 people here. Guys, tonight we'll be speaking to Mr. London, a Jamaican contractor. Again, we would have had a couple of rescheduling today because of some legal issues, and I myself wanted to do some proper verification of some of what he's saying. And I would have said earlier that one of the reasons we would have started VPAC is to be able to call out corruption wherever it is, even in the opposition. What we're not going to allow is for corruption to continue. So wherever we see it, we will call it. So without hesitating, now that we are 156 people, 56 viewers, let's try to get our guest in. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that he sent me a request because he was supposed to. We're trying to get him on. 1 second. Mr. London, if you're there, can you go ahead and send me a request? Because I'm sending it to you and I'm not getting a response. We're trying to bring Mr. London in, guys. 1 minute. Working here. He was actually driving. I don't know if he's having signal issues. Mr. London, can you accept my request, please? I'm having problem getting Mr. London in for some strange reason. Who's trying to sabotage this live, man? Guys, 1 second. Let me see. So Mr. London just messaged me saying he's sending it, but I'm not seeing it. So unfortunately, guys, I'm hoping that you don't go too far. It looked like I might have to restart this live because I'm not seeing Mr. London's request. I think I see something pop up here now. Oh, there we go. I think we got him. I think we found him. Woo! Should be coming on.
I'm in now. All right, Darwin, I think we've finally
You know,
successfully connected.
one of these days we'll be able to get back to work so we can have our staff do this for us, you know? Until then, we're forced to do it by ourselves. Because this
Yeah.
was a task, bro. I'm sweating. Woof. Yeah, because I don't know. I'm like you. I'm not too savvy with going live and all these different things. It's pretty new to me. So good night, everyone. Again, we have Mr. London here, a Jamaican contractor that has been pretty viral today, and I'm pretty sure most of you are in this live know me and know, you know, what I myself would have faced and know what we've been advocating for here in VPAC. So, without saying too much, we'll get right into it because we got over 305 people who have been, you know, trying to educate me in the comment section on where we go or how I get you on the live. So, guys, I'll give Mr. London a chance to start sharing what he would have faced in Guyana, and we'll go through it because after listening to it, I too have some concerns that I think the entire Guyana would want to hear. Because as a young entrepreneur like myself, what we expect is to be treated fairly. What we expect is to be treated fairly. I'm trying to be careful with my words. So go ahead, Mr. London. Tell Guyana some of what your concern is. I think you're owed some 1 point. What's the amount that you're owed?
It's over $1 billion in variation.
Over $1 billion. I mean, not everyone understands what variation is. Which would have led
So
to your frustration, right? To where, guys, I want you to know this is not an interview. It's not a typical media house. This is a political movement, and so it's going to go a little different. We're going to let you know the facts unedited. This gentleman right here has done multiple contracts in Guyana. Most recently, which is why you would have decided to speak out today, is a contract that he feels that he was terminated, and he feels like he was discriminated. He feels like he was taken advantage of. He feels like he was robbed. Somebody's trying to do something to our life, man. He feels like he was extorted because I think months ago, our own vice president would have spoken to the fact that they are not in the business of, I forgot the word that he used, but not to allow middlemen or brokers. You remember that statement he made when on one of his regular Thursday press
yeah,
conference, right? And
yes,
unfortunately, yours would have predated that statement. So when you would have spent your money to all these middlemen or whatever your concern is, happened before. So, because guys, I would have
correct.
seen some pictures of people leaving his house with what seems to be
bags of money. I've seen, which he was sent to me today, confirmation that money was passed, copies of all the evidence to confirm money was paid. Okay? Now, why these money were paid should raise an alarm in any country, not just Guyana. And why your contract was terminated is what, for me, needed to be. To me, that's the bigger issue. And why I'm saying that to you, Mr. London, I
Lambert.
want to huh? Say it again.
No, Lambert. Lambert.
Lambert.
Lambert.
Sorry, I keep saying London. Sorry. I want to separate the issues. We are both victims of discrimination, but the issues why you would have reached out to me are somewhat similar, and it is something that needs the attention of the entire nation, because I am not sure it's easy to walk away from $1.2 billion, I think is what you said you're owed. Now, after listening to this issue carefully, I would have formed some of my own opinion, but we'll go through this together. So I'll give you a chance again. I just wanted to give them some context of what the issue is, to go ahead and tell your story. Why you owe this money.
Well, yeah, good afternoon again.
Evening.
Yes, good evening. So we would have tender for a project. And this is after doing other successful project like Sparndam Station and another road contract, Sergeant Mess building and stuff. So we have a history of doing projects on time and very high quality, right? So we decided that the government was on a move to expand universal education in Guyana. And I saw the article. I was on vacation and I saw the article and I decided that this is something that we would want to be a part of. I think it is a initiative. And with the rebuilding exercise in Guyana, we decided that. So the engineer at the time, I would have made contact with him and I told him to go to the ministry because there was several school projects that would have been out for tender, inviting bidders at the time, several of them in dozens of projects. So we decided that we going to tender for a few. And we were successful in some of these projects. That success would also include the Hosororo Secondary School.
Where is that located?
We won. That is in Region 1.
Okay.
So we had 2 lots on that project.
What do you mean by 2 lots? I'm just saying, just for the average person to understand.
Yes. So they had about 6 lots. They break up the project into lots.
Okay.
Substructure might be a lot. The clearing of the site and
substructure as in the foundation.
Lot. The foundation works, yes.
Right.
So we had won the bid for the superstructure, which was lot 5, and the electrical and plumbing, which was lot 6. In the tender document, the ministry wasn't very clear as it relates to the technology that they wanted to use. They indicated in the document, a very big document, that they wanted low-income, fast turnover technology. Somewhere along that line. I can't quote it right now.
Fast turnover is what you're saying?
A low-cost construction methodology. So low-cost construction methodology that a faster turnover time, not the traditional block and steel that would have last 10 years to complete the size school. So for this particular Osoro school, looking at about 1,000 square feet of building space, which included about 32 different sections of buildings. It included teaching block, dormitory areas, living quarters, 1-bedroom living quarters, 2-bedroom living quarters, and stuff like that. So it's a huge complex. So we consulted with an engineering firm in Panama when we got the tender, because the technology that they cited was not yet commonly used in Guyana, and I want to believe that we are one of the first contractor, if not the first contractor, that actually use the cold form steel technology there on any government project. All right, and it would have been the largest one as well. So we consulted a company, and we decided, and we work with them because they were expert in that field. So we work with them with what is it that is required, and they guide us. They engineered, because it was a single-story building that the tender asked for. So they would have looked at the floor plan and the number of persons, students that these facilities should catered for, and then they designed that single-story structure with a particular grade of steel and other elements as it relates to attachments and stuff like that. So we looked at it, we put in the bid based on the material prices there, along with other logistics that need to get into region 1, and we sub the bid. One other contractor had tendered for lot 5. So our tender, along with one other contractor alone, had tendered for that lot. We had tendered $1.2 billion for that lot. And the moment, even before we received notification officially about being the successful bidder, I started to receiving numerous calls from persons who I have never met, and persons that I met as well. And it went on, and they came, they let me know that we are a lower bidder on 2 lots in this school project, and they wanted to entertain us and get us on the project. And one person identified himself as attached to a minister, but he was
That's the person you said today that
somewhat
identified
reluctant.
himself something about. Okay.
He's the son of a minister. So and
That's the picture you sent me today.
he was a little, yes, that's the picture. He was the one who come to collect the $30 million in the back. And he told me, bottom line, that there will be a lot of work that need to be done to get this process completed for the award. Right?
Which is why he's demanding $30 million.
So $60 million in demand. But
okay.
We paid half of that one and $2 million on tuition, because we also won tuition. Then we receive other calls that that project will not stay at $1.2 billion anymore. It's going to go now to $1.4 billion. So an additional 200 million was going to add it, but it is not for us. That is for persons in high places. That was the allegation. So when we receive our first mobilization of 400 and about 20,000, $20 million, $420 million thereabout, we would have to honor the 100 million and the
30 million.
30 million to these persons. So we did that. We started the project, and but even before we started the project, because one of the things that I wanted to highlight to you, Darwin, is that the ministry was supposed to hire a consultant for the project. And the consultant was supposed to provide us with the drawing for that project.
You're saying drawings?
So the drawings for the project, the details for the project.
Let me just remember you
We
got a
were
little
supposed to
accent,
do a BB.
so I'm just making sure that
Yes,
it's clear.
yes. So all the architectural engineering drawings
Mm.
was supposed to be provided by the consultant.
The
The
consultant is a
ministry
consultant that
engineer
works for the, hold on, is a consultant that is independent or work for the government? For the government.
consultant is a private company, private engineering company that
That is
is being
employed
hired by
the
the
government.
ministry. Yes,
Okay, by the
yes,
ministry.
to
Okay,
independently oversee and
these
manage
projects.
these
These
projects.
projects. Okay.
Yes. So that consultant, I was calling a meeting now, and this take weeks after this sign. So we have a fancy signing at the Ministry of Education
You said a fancy signing?
where yeah, fancy signing. We just sign. They call us that we are.
May I know what that means? Elaborate on the fancy signing, please. Are you there?
Our name, the company name. Yes.
I didn't. I didn't hear what you said. You said a fancy signing. Can you tell me what that means?
Or the fancy signing for me is just a ceremonial signing exercise for the media ops that took
Okay.
place at the ministry because we left there without the relevant document to support the contract.
So
And then
it
we
was
were
just it
told,
was just for optics.
yes. And then we were told to visit another building.
I don't know what's going on with our internet, man.
The drawing, they will provide us with the drawings and all the other relevant documents that we need, the official award notice to obtain all the bonds and stuff like that. So when we went to that ministry, it took another couple of weeks. We couldn't get the official document. And when we got the official document, the drawings did not include it in those official documents. So I asked the question, where is the drawing? The ministry engineer at the time, a gentleman Eastman, he indicated that the consultant have the responsibility to provide the drawings. So weeks going by, the consultant unable to give us the so that we can start and planning of the projects and fabrication and stuff like that because we're dealing with cold form steel. He have the tender document that we signed, the bid document, he have that. But we couldn't have received the document. So the company that I was working with, I said, listen, I observed that the president of Guyana is pushing extremely hard to deliver some of these projects. And I'm of the opinion that there is a serious management issue as it relates to how these projects are planned. So I want to be proactive. Can you facilitate and work with me? Don't charge me the full money. Work with me to have these design done by your expert. So I get a discount. They agreed. And they produced the drawings for the entire structure. So now we design and build where we were supposed to only design, where we were supposed to only build, and the contract and the consultant supposed to produce the drawings. Now, after we produce the drawings, the ministry engineer called us for a meeting, and he decided that all the contractors on this project need to meet and they had to plan how they're going to execute this project, because one of the important thing as well is that they did not even identify the land for the project. So that contract was awarded to us and there was no land available. When we travel into Osororo looking for the land, they guessing is this one, then they move it to another one. So there was no land until they finally identify a land and the project need to commence. So they asked us that all the contractors should produce a project schedule for their scope of work. And the consultant, in return, going to produce a master schedule from the information he received
That's,
on
in
those
other words,
independent schedule.
you're speaking to this person as a general contractor. In other words. The reason why I'm using the word not cutting you,
I lost
general
it.
contract. The consultant is acting as a general contractor that oversees
Yes, so he's a general
all
contractor
the
that
independent
oversees all the scope.
to schedule
Yes. So
when the
he's
plumbing, because obviously you can't have a
our
plumber,
supervisor.
right? Just making sure I
Yes, so
understand
he's
where you're
our
going.
supervisor, and he's the employee of the ministry to oversee these other contractors. That's basically the narrative. But so he decided that all the contractors need to produce a report. At that meeting, I raised a concern because they gave us a time frame in the document that they want this superstructure to be completed, installed in 3 months. And all of those things, another three. So the overall
You're
thing, the
breaking up. You're
finishings and the
breaking up a little
electrical.
bit. Something is going on with this live. Like someone said, like they report. Someone is reporting it. Can you back up a little bit because some of what you said is all broken up. I saw your hands moving, but I wasn't able to hear exactly what you're saying.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes. Something about 3 months.
So yeah, so fabrication, installation,
No, no,
fabrication is like a three
I'm
months and
missing. I
erection.
don't know if everyone else heard, but I'm missing the context. How did you get to fabrication? Because you must have the
So
sub.
yeah, so no, so this is what we're talking about is the time period that is being allocated for each contractor to do their phase
Okay,
of the work.
3 months.
So so 3 months to fabricate and erect and another 3 months or so. The overall project for us, they were giving us about 7 months. I raised
To
concern and I
complete the
said
school.
to complete the entire school. So I raised concern and I said there's no way possible that you can complete this entire school, 90,000 square feet in
In 7 months.
7 months.
Why do
Yes.
you think? Why was the time so?
They
So I don't know what's going on with our
they
lives. Like,
indicated to us, hear me?
yeah, something is going on with it
Yeah,
because the signal is going and coming. But go ahead.
yeah. So they indicated to us that they will have to figure out a way because they already submit that time to the ministry and the minister is expecting the project to be completed within that time. So we're going to have to figure out a way between the contractor and project department of the ministry. One of the way that they propose is that the contractor that have the substructure work, when he produced his project schedule,
Schedule.
they will use the information from his schedule and it will be
So
shared with all.
so
So
the
we
others
will
can be
know
properly aligned. So
which,
the others can be properly aligned. So
yes,
because
and
obviously
yes,
after
and
him comes your phase,
we
then comes the
accordingly.
plumber,
So
then
we
comes the
will,
electric. I understand.
and with that case, in the erection aspect of it, it is different blocks. So those foundation, whichever block he is going to finish first, they would inform us on the schedule, and we will then erect the building
As,
or
as
fabricate the building rather for that one and erect that one while he continue.
so
The
your schedule
project
will
run
fall
on,
right behind his. Correct.
yes. However, what they did, they decided to inform us of going on site or starting to erect the superstructure when the substructure contractor already completed all 32 structures in terms of foundation months later.
So whoa.
In,
You're saying instead of them notifying you when structure number one is completed, so you can start fabricating for structure number one.
yes,
And as follow, they waited till it was all completed, then notify the other
all
contractors.
complete.
Okay, keep going.
Yes. Um, and I again, and that was clear mismanagement because we were supposed to be running. They agreed at the meeting that it was supposed to be run in an agile approach, things running simultaneously, but that changed. In addition, the consultant decided to let me know that what they will do is give extension instead of going to seek proper um, modification or amendments to their document. they will just give 3 months extension because, in his words, he's a consultant and he will be able to do such extension. Again, I indicated, I say, but we should have this document just truly aligned based on the schedule. So you do up the schedule as and produce to the honorable minister realistic time, because you are the expert. Why would you just go blindly and just keep on saying you will go with extension? But they decided that this is the way they're going to go. We reluctantly agree with that, but I tell them I have an issue with it. But no problem, I go to work. Then we end up in another roadblock. So roadblock number 2, when I have to start to fabricate the buildings, the consultant decided for whatever reason that he is not going to approve the materials for that building. The materials that we had tendered, 20 gauge steel, he wanted a heavier, more expensive steel, which is more than 100% more expensive than the one that we submitted a bid for. And that is what he wants.
So hold on. I'm making some notes here. I hope I help lost your train of thoughts, because I have some questions. So one, in the beginning of the project, you would have bid 1.2 billion. You're uncertain to why it was increased to 1.4. But
I was told it was increased to 1.4.
You're also conforming that extra 200 million, you were going to be later instructed of who is to receive it. So that 200 million was actually built into the contract, and you would be instructed later on where it goes. That's one.
Yeah.
That speaks to corruption. Secondly, what I'm hearing from you is a grave level of incompetence, because one, if we are rushing the project by entering into the tendering process to erect a new school, and we haven't even identified where the school is going, that seems to be a major problem. Because from what I'm hearing there, from what you're saying, is you are now suffering for not being able to deliver a school in time, that the incompetence started by not even having the land to build the school in the first place.
Exactly.
Am I correct? Now, the next thing I'm hearing, if I'm just making sure myself and the viewers are following this as you're going. The third thing I'm hearing here is I'm going to call it the GC, the general contractor. You call it the consultant. The general contractor was supposed to, before you even entered into the bidding process, outline to you, which is how I know it's happening all the way around the world, precisely the drawing and the specs of what is needed. They relied on you to recommend this project using the material which you're claiming might be the first time it's being used in Guyana. So they recommended you to come up with that project. So you then bid that project after doing your estimate to 1.2 billion. Later on, they're now telling you that the steel that you're using is wrong, when when this all started, they didn't even know what they needed to give you the proper drawings.
To add further context to what you are saying.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, you are correct, Darwin.
So
and to add,
they're asking you now, they're telling you now that a single story structure that they asked you to produce the drawing and the specs and the engineer that you went to Panama to do are now out of spec. But obviously, if you're tendering $1.2 million for the grade, whatever grade steel you just mentioned, and they're asking you to double that grade, how can you still be charging 1.2? Obviously, the 1.2 was based on the specs that you gave them that you were going to erect, correct?
Yes, correct.
This again falls on the general contractor. So the general contractor didn't pick a land. The general contractor didn't give you the proper specs of what they need. They relied on you. And now the ninth inning, he's telling you, this is not what we need. We need something different, but expect you to give them the same bid for something that they would have changed, not you.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Keep going.
And to add further context to what you are saying there as well, the general contractor, as they would call him, and I call him the consultant. 'Cause that's what they introduced him as officially, was as he was a project consultant. Um, he was unable to draw to design it. He went out there to get some drawings and gave us a document with just about 4 or so pages for an entire structure, um, and which we're talking about cold form steel. The technology that we're talking about here is cold form steel, where every single member is engineered to support each other. Every element of the building, the window, the columns, everything is engineered with a lot of a membership with it. Um, the engineering firm, who is the expert in that technology, produced a document for one of those buildings with 200 and something pages. So we have a document with over 200 pages of details to ensure it is done properly. The consultant was trying to dismiss that and give us a document with a few pages. Let me call it a dozen pages. I'm sure it didn't pass a dozen pages. With a much heavier steel. The engineering firm is saying to them, the technology that is designed here, the steels are so close. And if you look on the VG Group page, you will see this how the structures were is amazed with steel. Um, so they're already so close. But what he was designing is something much wider, and that's why we already designed something that is so close and it is engineered for the structure that the ministry requested. But then we asked for something that is double, and then the consultant blatantly told us, you have to do the project and we're not going to entertain any variations. So then the project started to have issues. Because you're talking about a project that reached 70 something percent complete. All the building except for the dormitory was already erected. Roof went on. Cladding started on those buildings. Electrical started to go in. They said the project was behind by 3 months. And you know what, Darwin? The Tushen project, we were in the Tushen project, not as the main contractor this time, not as the superstructure contractor. We were in Tushen project as the smallest contractor just for the plumbing for $30 million. That contract was running a year behind by the main contractors. Terminated. They were retained. You know who was terminated? We, who were the plumbing contractor, who cannot execute no work without the superstructure and the substructure contractors do what they have to do. But we were terminated from that too. And that is why I said there, I look at that particular pattern and it's hard to not suggest there is victimization going on there. And it further, one of the things that lead up to when the breakdown, because we had the issues from day one, they find us difficult to work with because we documenting so much and we asking for things to be done properly. I even if the honorable minister at the time, she's at a different ministry now, but if you ask her, if she recall, she would have also received email and WhatsApp from me, getting that we were training for the young men in the interior, those young people that was working there, because I had no intention, I did not give approval for the CEO or any one of the operational persons to import persons outside of the region unless it was necessary. So what we did, we embarked on a training exercise because the president at the time was going around and say, listen, with everything that is happening, we need persons to be trained. They encourage persons to be trained. I brought in the engineers from Panama into Guyana. They were the expert in cold form technology because, as I said, it is not a technology that was commonly used. It was never been used before. So we brought them in and they have training on site with those workers. Get our engineers up to scratch. We have this exchange program. Get them up to scratch. And then assign an engineer there that continue the training program. And we were able to train close to 60 workers technology. And I wrote to the minister and I said the amount of hours that these goodly gentlemen did. it maybe the ministry could consider looking at the National Training Agency to look at a competence certificate for them to upskill them so that they can continue to market themselves into other companies. So we were actually doing other things as it relates to part of our corporate and social responsibility to impact our community and the people that live there so they can feel proud to say, they are a part of this building process. It wasn't just strange people come inside here to build. But yet still we were being removed. That we were lagging behind simply because the project was sabotage. I call it sabotage. And I will add one more thing that I believe any person would want to have this information I have as it relates to the harassment was the president called a meeting. And when the president called a meeting on Saturday morning, the consultant called me and said, all right, the president calling to ask about projects. So I should just indicate that everything is okay on my side. And I said, no, but everything is not okay. And I'm not going to say that. Right. And because the
So
president is
just so
saying,
you
are you
know,
going to
not
finish this?
not cutting you. I'm getting mixed signal in the comment section. People, one set of group is saying that I need to ask you the tough questions, and another group is saying let them on talk. So I'm sitting there wondering which one to please. One of the reasons
No,
I stopped you. One of the reasons I stopped you earlier is because what I want is I saw your live today, and everyone will have seen mine, and you screamed corruption, 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 corruption. Nobody shouldn't go to Guyana. And
yeah,
I had a little issue with that while I support and I understand what you said. Because when you said not go to Guyana, you're not pointing this blame at where the corruption is. You're blanketing the entire Guyana as a corrupt place. And obviously when I land in Jamaica the next time, I don't want them to look at me. I don't want the entire Guyana to be treated as they're corrupt. So I had a little concern with that.
yeah.
Mind you, ain't nobody crying corrupt more than I am publicly. But at the end of the day, some of the questions that I'm asking you here, obviously I would have had a conversation with you when we spoke today. But what is in my head, what I know is not what the viewers know. So when I was asking those questions, because I wanted to be able to not to be fair, because if you look at my complaint and what I have been saying, I too I've faced a lot. And I don't want to make this interview about me. I've been jailed. My company's been taken away. So much would have happened to me. But that doesn't change the fact that what we're going to do in every instant is to be fair. What it sounds like to me here, from what you are saying, it's unfair for you to blame the entire Guyana. If you're being kicked off of a job in Lenore, you said, right? Tushin. Anyone that understands
Also,
construction, anyone will deal with it one at a time. Anyone that understands construction, you won the plumbing aspect of that school. Correct?
Tushin, yes.
And
Correct.
you were the contractor that was kicked off because the school is behind. And you feel like you were
Yes.
discriminated. I feel so too,
Yes.
because what you just outlined is you don't have a wall to put the plumbing. So how are you being held responsible for installing plumbing when there's no way to put the plumbing? So this is where the general
Yeah.
contractor, from what I'm hearing, is at fault, because he is not properly scheduling and he's not prepared to take responsibility for his failure. Because how can you expect the plumbing to be on time if the man that's supposed to be putting the wall in didn't erect the wall? So where do you put the plumbing? So, and then you're saying the general contractor, the guy who's supposed to be putting the walls up is still on the job when he should have been the one terminated, because obviously you don't have a wall to put your plumbing. The electrician don't have a wall to run their wires. So it has to be that you were discriminated, but we have to be fair here as we're taking it up the ladder. Who reported to the ministry where this contract is being terminated? It got to be the general contractor that you call
Consultant.
the consultant, because he's saying this gentleman's behind because of whatever reason. It seems like he doesn't like you, but he's not telling them you're behind on plumbing, that there's no wall for you to put the plumbing in. Do you agree or disagree?
Let me give you a better example.
No, but do you agree or do you disagree?
I'm sitting down in Guyana
I don't hear
right
you.
now. I said, to give you a better example why I cry discrimination and victimization. I took so much interest in the project to ensure I deliver that we started to put a whole procurement plan the moment we were awarded. We literally established a procurement department, specifically employees that are already there that have the skill set. We set up a department for them to focus on procurement. We went to China, negotiated with factories in Foshan, and sent in containers of plumbing supplies to ensure that by the time we close off one particular phase, the materials are there and ready. The consultant never one of my container, never inspected or tested one of my decided that he did not want those goods at all from China. So we were forced to purchase a different toilet. The toilets that we had in our bid, we budgeted a $20,000 toilet. We got some exemption from the government, so we saved some money there. So the toilets came down to just about 12,000 or something like that. So we would have made some nice profit. The consultant said, no, we don't need that. We were forced to purchase toilets, I think from Ecuador or one of those places, that reached Guyana for $70,000 because they said they want specific brand. And I asked the question, isn't it against the procurement rule to be brand specific? They don't care. This is what I want. And I say, okay, I told my office, well, go ahead and just apply the variations accordingly. Because we have this in the bid, in the description where it describes the material, what's supposed to be included in the material. This is not what is there, what he's asking for. We have meet that. But the containers are there, just pack up, toilets just break up and just abandon because they didn't want that. While at the same time, I sat in a meeting on Tuesday, and the electrical contractor there indicated, the consultant said, well, we need to start to do the electrical. And he said, I already have the electrical on site. He said, well, that's good. And I sat there and I'm like, okay. But the consultant is telling me I cannot put no material on site before he inspect them with that. I have no problem with that. But if the materials are meeting the specification that is listed in the contract document that I have, and I am, and because it is a cold form technology and 90% of the building have to be imported because it is not manufactured in Guyana, how do we treat with that? He don't care, I must figure it out. When I went to the meeting with the president, and when I insisted that I'm not going to lie on my operational team, so the president asked if the project would finish for the next month. I said no. The president said, okay, well, it's going to be liquidation damages. Rightfully so, because he have the information before him. He's seen 3 months extension, and he can't get in school next month, but there's no further justification. So I decided that, okay, I wouldn't argue with His Excellency. I will just document and send it thereafter. But fortunately, before the meeting concluded, he asked if anyone have anything else to say. And I got back up and I addressed the situation that the consultant know for a fact that they allocated some time in the document. That was a clear mistake, that they accepted that it was a mistake. And he told me, the consultant, I indicated to the president that the consultant indicated to me and my engineer at the time, the project manager, that they will go ahead and give us extension as we go along. I said, that is not the best practice. But they said this is what they're going to do. And the president used a word and he said, is it that you are suggesting that the consultant is in collude?
Is that the
And he
5
asked
a.m.
me to
meeting?
duck. That's not the 5 a.m. meeting. And the one after that. I was
Okay.
not the 5 a.m. one. And he asked me to document the allegations. And I documented the allegations and I pulled from our communication matrix because I have a file very huge, you know. I have documents that I can lend to the ministry because we have what we call a communication matrix with every single thing that happened in the life of the project, including WhatsApp messages. We print them out and put them there. So I compile a document and I drop it off to His Excellency. And I also went to the Honorable Minister office and I dropped one there. And all hell break loose. The workers came, they indicated to me, we in problem. I said, what problem? He said the consultant indicate that the ministry, nobody at the ministry wanted to work with me and they're going to get rid of us. I said, well, don't worry about it. Just focus on doing your work and exceed excellence. Once you are doing your work, there can't be no basis to get rid of you. But I was wrong. There was basis. So I waited a year. I tried to I send messages to His Excellency, the minister, the PS. I send messages right around in different format, in normal WhatsApp and in more formal setting as it relates to letters on all different kind of form, asking, please give consideration to what transpired here because it is not what it seems. Nobody, but at the same time, I have my employees in distress because all the we have to close down. All the my suppliers them wasn't able to get all the payments, so I have to deal with that. So I can walk on there with the character of wanting to take care of the bills, but unable to because the project consultant decided that this is what I want, even though it's not in the bill, it's double the price. And I will show you, I have the last evidence with that. The permanent secretary even recommend a gentleman to me from another, by the time we were there now, another company started to install his steel called Modular Homes. I have two invoices from him. The first one, when the permanent secretary recommended to me that I should subcontract the work to him if we can manage, even though we say we just need our payment. I say, all right, you know what? Give me the quote for the dormitories, the steel, the dormitory, you know, not the school, just the dormitory. And he gave me a quote of $100 million for those steel for that one. And I send it to the consultant and I say, okay, well, approve this. But what happened is the steel that the modular homes put on the document is the exact same steel that my engineers in Panama had recommended that they rejected. When the consultant saw that, he said, no, I don't want that one, even though he was the one who recommended the modular home gentleman to the PS. But what they didn't expect, because they were advocating that we were supposed to be terminated immediately and then give somebody else. So at that moment, they realized, okay, but it's like we still remaining in the project. So they decided that, you know what? We don't want that what modular home is. We need the more expensive one. So modular home saying, why they need this one? Because this is not for this little one-story building. So I said, give me what the ministry asks for. Just produce me with the quote on that one. He gave me a second quote. You know what the price on the second quote? $220 million for the same exact building. And that will give you an idea of how vast the difference in cost is. And then you tell me, how could you sustain that when you're going into these projects with a 15-20% profit margin and you are going to absorb variations costs accelerating over 100 and 190% in difference from what you bid? It's not sustainable. It can't. And that is the general drift of, I mean, you indicated that I paint a broad picture about Guyana is corrupt. But when I say Guyana is corrupt, and I stand by that, I don't take by that statement. But I speak specifically to the system and the general people, those beautiful people that treated me so well and so warm when I visit Guyana. I can't just generalize and say they're corrupt. If you say Jamaica is corrupt, any reasonable person will understand that it is the system and the person in charge of the system is what we speak of. And those persons that is behind the system and some of those activities that take place, it is corrupt.
Well, we would have had like I said, I would have had an extensive discussion with you over this issue. You there?
Sorry. Yes, I am there. One second.
Yeah.
Let me just a second. Let me just make sure I charge up this device. You can let me charge up this device. Don't want to get cut off. And I see the warning me. Okay. Sorry about that. I was 2% away from getting cut off.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
There is a lot of corruption here. Only a blind man, even a blind man can see that. The fact that you're being paid an additional $200 million that is not was originally in your budget. That should sound the alarm right through the entire government. Right, that right there, because we don't know how many others this kind of practice is being used. But I would have said to you earlier off camera, and I'm going to say, and you know, what we need to do here is lay the blame exactly where it needs to be laid. And I'm sure everyone would agree that most of what you're saying points to incompetence. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I
Because
wrote my documents and I call it
most
for
of
what it
this
is.
fall on the lap of the general contractor, the consultant, because
Yes.
he is responsible, one, for making sure that you would have received the proper spec that is required instead of relying on you to have your own engineer put that together. And because of his own negligence, he's now trying to not fall back on the sword and have you all foot the bill basically for his failure. And again, I'm not here to defend the government, because if anybody the government would have treated bad first is me. But we got to call a spade a spade. What I don't want to do is to turn your story or to gain political miles from this. You know, I want us to be fair, and I want to be able to defend the word you used today, Guyana, because I am Guyanese first before I became a politician. Now, what I'm seeing here is, one, this contract you were blacklisted prematurely without proper investigation. If anybody should be blacklisted, anybody should have been terminated, in my view, is the general contractor first. I think an investigation, and I'm calling on the government to look into this immediately, of why your contract was increased and who were to benefit from $200 million that you didn't budget for. One. Two, I believe the government should immediately launch an investigation into why contractors are given contract and are being told to provide them what the spec should be. And when you make that recommendation, then they come later on and saying, this is not what we expected. And if you know what you expect, then it should be given to the contract in the first place. You agree?
I agree.
Can you hear me? Because it's unfair for you to be presented an option to go out there and present them using your expertise, and then the same guy that couldn't provide it is going to come back months later and tell you, but what you recommend is not what we wanted. And if you know what you want, then you should have made that recommendation in the first place. Mm-hmm. Now, from my understanding, again, where I believe this particular person would have erred is he's asking you to complete a project in a time frame. I'm guessing it's before election they wanted it to be completed. That the time practically wasn't there, because if you didn't have the
It's
land,
not.
there was a delay. If you wanted me to change the material, there was a delay. If you wanted me to have a contract completed when you are the second person in line. So the what he should have been doing is sitting down with all the contractors and outlining who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. Because obviously you can't have the plumber there first. You have to have the as in they say, foundation in Ghana, foundation first before you put the wall.
Yes.
There's no wall without
And
foundation. So if this guy is going to take the
in
entire
this
time,
case, there was several foundations. So we're talking about like 32 different structures.
right, and they
So
waited
there
till
were
all
several
32 was
foundations.
completed before informing you, when you
And
could have
then
been following behind at least
yes,
by the second. No, I follow what you're
exactly.
saying. So
Yes.
that is, again,
Yeah.
here's management. Again, having people in a job that doesn't qualify is what it sounds like. Calling it for what it is.
Yeah.
He is there and he's waiting for all 30 foundations to be finished before he tells you the second man. When you could have, by the time he's done the second, you could have started the first. And you could have been following
Darwin,
behind. Am I correct?
I
Am I correct?
identify, I agree. Yes, you're correct. I identify so much of issues. And every single issue, when we go in to put in the cold form steel, there are areas the floor slab wasn't level. The system, the floor have to be laser level. So normally you use the survey equipment and ensure it is level. It wasn't level. When the rainfall, we have photos. I'll send you those photos as well. The old building was full of water. The cold form steel already started to be underwater. We have areas that the consultant they found, even though we designed the building for safety, for fire safety of the children at the closest exit from certain classrooms, they squeeze up a tunnel of about 1.5 feet, which could run about 30 feet. So all it going together is leaf and dust. I raised the concern and I said the foundation layout is wrong. It is not according to the joint, and these slabs were installed wrong. The consultant finally giving too much trouble. And I'm saying, but these are with children. We are experienced going to have our young children in these schools. Just before we started at school, we had a fire where students perish. And I'm saying, let us build with that level of competence and understanding for safety. But they violated the safety procedure altogether.
Who's they?
So if there is a
We're going
fire,
back to the same
well,
general
the
contractor
consultant,
again.
it is
The
it is it
consultant.
is the consultant that I pointed out the issue to. So if those students, if there is a fire, God forbid, they have to run to the farthest end of a 400 feet long building before they can exit. When the exit point to the nearest assembly point is just about 10 feet from the classroom, they
Which makes
wouldn't be able
absolutely
to
no
do
sense.
that 10 feet because they squeezed up the building. They did not put the floor slabs at the distance in which it should have gone. Even though they have huge amount of land, it's just a matter of they did not lay out the foundation properly.
Properly.
So there's a safety violation at Hosororo School.
But I'm happy that you're bringing all this to the public space. You see, again, I didn't want us to be, again, too consumed by only the fact that you lost your money, because you should be paid. Because at the end of the day, it sounds, and I'm sure the 1,100 people that's listening can hear clearly that you were terminated from a project, that the failure came from the consultant.
Yes.
You clearly wasn't given enough time. Do you agree?
Yeah, we didn't give it enough time. We didn't give we wasn't given the resources that was required as it relates to the materials needed to get the
That is
job
something
done.
else I wanted
There's
to
a lot
touch
of
on,
things we
because
have to do.
obviously the price tag changed. So the money that you would have catered for,
We don't get
the
paid for
new,
our joints.
well, it far exceeds that dollar amount.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. And in part of our variation, the variation, I actually put that in my claim to them as well. That the drawing, because we do a design build, So they should have paid for the the design that we had to produce. And we gave all of those designs. And when we gave the design, when they asked, the consultant asked me for the design. So I told my secretary at the
So
time to go
he keep
through,
asking you for the design instead of him providing you the
yes.
design.
So because he wanted the design to present to the ministry as his document. So
That's his document.
I
Like he prepared it.
as his document, because he didn't say to set the design on VG Group, what VG Group
The
produced.
people,
He just wanted this.
the viewer is asking that you prepare to call the name of the consultant.
The name of the consultant is GR Engineering, you know. So they, I mean, anybody, I don't have to call the name of the consultant. The project is a public project. All the names are on it. So the consulting firm was there, and all the contractors that were awarded project was there. So I
But
mean,
then it's,
there's
you should
nothing
be
about
you
it.
should have no problem calling his name. Would you like to tell them
That's
his
what I'm
name so
saying.
they?
Is GR Engineering was the consultant firm.
Oh, that's the firm.
Raj
Okay.
Ram Kilawan was the boss. Yes.
Raj one.
So
Go ahead.
Raj Ram Kilawan was the boss. So these are the kind of incompetence that happen on that project. Lot of incompetence. So what I asked my secretary to do, and they didn't like it, take the company stamp, have a big logo stamp, and stamp it on all 4,000 something pages of document. I said, stamp every page. I said it.
Oh, I see what you did. So when they receive it, they'll know it came from you.
They know that is my document.
Why do we have a consultant there if basically he's just there as
Consultant was incompetent, man.
as a rubber stamp?
He's a good guy.
He's
I
a
think
good
he's a
guy.
good person, but I don't think I think he was a good person. But when you call him out for his incompetence, he took offense. But the truth of the matter is he did not understand the nature of the project, and he did not understand what was required of the project. And I don't think he have anybody on his team that actually did project management. So they was unable. So areas that we're supposed to do an agile approach, they were doing a waterfall approach. So things that could have been running concurrent, they wait on one thing to finish, and the thing that could have finished in a month, it takes 6 months because he understand how to plan the project. He's unable to plan. We up to this day they terminate me and brand me as the bad contractor. But up to this day, I am still yet never receive a project schedule. Even though he's supposed to give us a project schedule for the entire project, he have never draft a project schedule. But we gave him ours. We gave him our project schedule, very detailed, with every single activity that is included in getting the job done, and how much time or days, hours we allocated for these things, when we expected to start it, when we expect to complete. He received a very detailed schedule. That schedule he was supposed to also receive from the other contractors, and then use the information, extract those information, and develop his master plan,
Correct.
and ensure that all the
That's how it's
contractors
supposed to
have
be.
that master
Yes.
plan. He was unable to produce one. And then when I call him out for the incompetence,
That is
they say,
because
well, I am
that
rogue,
is
and
because
nobody want to
people
work
are
with me.
getting jobs in Ghana that doesn't meet the qualification. That's not his. That's not his field. He may. It's clear he probably knows someone that knows someone that got him the job, but it's completely out of his field. Because if he's putting you off of a job because the plumbing is not done and there's no wall for you to put the plumbing, that answers itself. And my thing right now is 1,100 people is up there watching, and I'm sure everyone knows. I'm not even sure if you still want to complete that job, but I'm sure
The
you want
one
to be
thing
paid.
about me, yeah, I first and foremost, I would love to get my money, right?
Of
That's
course,
that's first. I would like to be able to call my suppliers and my employees that have outstanding payment and say, send me back your account number, like we wire some extra money to your account.
Mr.
I would love
Lambert.
to
While we're
take
on
that
this live,
burden off
right?
from my shoulder.
I noticed this live didn't go
Yes.
where many would have expected it to go, and I can tell them why. I When you reached out to me this morning, you were you really wanted to speak to me in particular because you saw my public cry. You saw what I would have faced, and you can confirm that we did have this conversation. And I said to you, my concern, I by now I know the president is aware, but what I would have faced, Mr. Lambert, is victimization where there was a person that was behind it all. I want you to follow me. A person that had the relationship that created all of my problems. And that is a problem that Guyana has. And then we have a government and an opposition, and I'm in the opposition because I'm a part of the opposition, that at many times use some of these stories for political mileage when they're not sitting there understanding your genuine pain and my genuine pain. So I wanted this story to go for you to be able to tell your story. And if I interject and some of the viewers didn't like it, it's because, like I said, I did not want this story to be told how and put no spin to the story. I wanted to be told exactly how it is. And I would have said to you offline, I'm saying to you on record now, while the viewers are watching, that again, I had a problem with how you covered, you just blanket the entire Guyana as being corrupt. And it's clear here that the president needs to realize what everyone has been saying. Many of the contractors and many of the people that are in positions today are not qualified to be there. And we have to call a spade a spade. You see, I don't want to come out here and just be in opposition and just bash. Because if this is a direct failure of the general contractor, then they need to hold them accountable. They can't punish you when it's a general contractor's fault. So you have a right to speak out if no one is listening. If you like you said, you're writing this one, you're writing that one, you're texting this one. What we expect of our government is to call it for what it is, wrong for wrong, and not keep trying to protect bad actors. You know what I mean?
Darwin,
if you're bad,
I
they should highlight
I
it.
suspect in very early stage of the project, I suspect, based on my trained eyes, that there will be some problem as it relates to how the project was being managed. We did not have control over the management. We were workers. I requested a meeting with the ministry and the consultant. The consultant came to Ministry of Education. In the meeting, I brought two documents. One that we prepared for the drawings and one that the consultant prepared. I had concerns, the PS was in the meeting. I asked the consultant, produce the drawing, the documents, and all the support that we need to get this job done that you are giving to us. He was unable to, so I gave him a few pages, which is less than a dozen pages. So this is what he gave to me. Then I took up the other document that is what's supposed to be done. And I handed it to him as well. And I said, look at this document. This is what we need. And I shared it with all the persons in the ministry. I think a gentleman, he must be the CEO of the Ministry of Education. He was in the meeting. The secretary, the permanent secretary was in the meeting, which is the current permanent secretary, not the gentleman that we signed with first, the current one. She was in the meeting. And a few other technical staff I can recall, along with my team and the consultants. I had to show him what document, how the project's supposed to be managed from the project manager's standpoint.
You see,
I share document with
why
him.
I know it's easy for you to do. Remember, Jamaica is a lot more advanced than Guyana, obviously. So I'm sure you would have worked on projects of this nature before, correct?
Yes, I work on projects like that.
Now, I'm prepared to challenge that this gentleman that we're speaking to have not. You see what the problem is?
I can't judge. I didn't ask him, but based on how he was conducting himself, I highly doubt.
Thank you. So he is being placed, maybe because of who he knows, in a high position to manage all these projects, but he doesn't know how. But who suffers at the end? You.
Because I lose all my property, I mean, invest, my employees, them.
I didn't hear that. You were breaking up. You said you lost your property?
Well, I lost property. We lost investment.
You want to tell the viewers what you mean when you said you lost your property?
Well, I refinanced property to pump into my project and pump into setting up setting up the business there.
So guys, just so you know,
Along with
what Mr. London would have explained to me
we
earlier,
import.
because you're coming in very broken up. I don't know if they're hearing you, but I'm not. Can you repeat?
Yes, I
I don't know if
said
it's your internet or mine.
I rent out. Are you hearing me now? Well, my internet
Yes,
full.
yes.
Hear
Go
me now?
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I said we leased out a property there in Aqua Street.
In
We
Guyana.
imported. Yes, we brought in
Okay.
all our furnitures, all the equipments and everything, outfitted a proper space there. It's a lot of investment we put into
And it's
setting
all
up
lost.
Guyana. We all lost. Every single thing lost.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 40 years old and I will be 41 and proud the 5th of May.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, and we lost everything. We lost everything. And that's the reality of it.
And you lost a property in Jamaica that you would have used you would have pledged to the
As
bank to get the
equity,
money.
yes.
That's because the
Yes.
project didn't fail. You were basically terminated
I
by
was being
reasons
sabotaged.
that by reasons that
The project was an excellent project. Was an excellent project. Very high quality project. If you go there and scrutinize that project, you will see the kind of effort. You will see our heart into the project. You will feel our heart into the project. We did not just drop some workers on that project and leave it. We have every single level of management involved. We were meeting every single week to get the project update. We were going into Region 1 like we lived there. I meet even friend there.
someone is asking me why I asked your age. What I'm looking at here is a young entrepreneur that the system would have failed. So I didn't ask his age for any other reason. I wanted to identify that sitting here where I'm sitting is a young entrepreneur. Sitting on the other side of the camera is another young entrepreneur. And this is not the kind of issue that would motivate others. What we're supposed to be a role model, people that the others would try to learn from, others would try to follow in our footsteps. And this kind of discouragement, obviously, is not what the other generation would want. It's not the kind of image we want to be able to pass on to others, because what would motivate the next guy that's coming out of college with your expertise to take the kind of risk that you would have taken, knowing that the story is you can go lease your property, or you can come here and lease a building and start taking contracts to build all these massive infrastructure around the country, and one day you can wake up and you're not losing it because you're incompetent. You lost it because of a broken system. So when I ask his age because he's a young entrepreneur. He's a young investor. He's not going into retirement where he has that much cushion. Whatever he's doing now, I'm sure he just started. Now I'm just trying to clear up why I asked the question that I asked, so you two don't feel like I was just being personal, because
Oh no. I don't see it as personal.
we have to understand that we are viewed as young leaders that should create a blueprint or a footprint for others to follow.
Yeah.
The next generation. And if all the stories that we have to tell is like my kids ask me daily, so Daddy, what happened? What happened to your business? My kids live in the U.S. Yeah, I've been bragging about. I can't wait to bring you to Guyana. Mind you, their mom convinced them not to ever come to Guyana because there's mosquitoes and bugs. They visited Guyana for the first time last Christmas. I'm coming off the topic. My son came here. I had to give him clothes and everything for me because he bought one sneaker. I said, "Why did you only bring one sneaker?" Because Mommy says there's only bugs and and mud over here, which is not the case. But I had nothing to show them. Why did I have nothing to show them? I've been there for all these years, and the only thing I had to show them was rotten tanks, rotten ships. Do you think
Yeah.
he would want to ever become an entrepreneur if he feels that that's the kind of risk? So why would he want to follow in my footsteps? So that
Yeah.
is where you understand what I'm saying, because I'm sure you have kids. And
They have 6 beautiful
you see what I mean?
children.
That is not what they want to hear, that daddy's being faced. Because at the end of the day, it's not just that money loss, it's your name. There's an old saying out there. He who steals my wallet steals trash. He who steals my name steals a good thing. Because now, everywhere in the world, once they look at the name, your company name, it's not a good sight, because what they saw is when you were blacklisted in Guyana. What is not behind that is the reason why you were blacklisted.
Yeah.
They're not going to go dig beyond that to say, well, he was blacklisted because the general contractor was a failure. They're going to see that he was blacklisted. I'm not giving him a contract. So you lost your name. And I think the
Yeah.
government needs to step in, just like I've been calling on them to step in, because at the end of the day, this is not the kind of governance that President Ali should be proud of. And I hope someone shares this live and he
You
sees
know,
it.
I wanted I want to tell you something. You see, back in 2022, before I decided that I'm going to take the full leap into Guyana, there's a gentleman in Guyana. I was in Guyana even before, walking the community with them. I have all belief and conviction in the president's leadership. When I outside of Guyana listening to him and the passion that he have for one Guyana and the development of Guyana, I say, well, this, I migrating. I go in Guyana, go live.
What happened now?
I, I pack up and run like a thief. I take for myself.
I'm not. It's not funny, man, but
It's crazy. Guyana is a beautiful place with a lot of beautiful people with a very corrupt system and incompetent leaders.
people are asking for evidence. We're not. We're waiting for, like I told them
We have
earlier, for legal.
evidence. I
But I would have
yeah,
seen the
so I
receipts to
shared what
everything
I
that he
can
would have
share it
said.
with you,
Yes,
and I can assure that I
I've
have
seen the receipts to
what I
everything he's
call
saying.
again my communication matrix. And on top of that, payments that were made, even if somebody tried to dispute the photographs as something else, there's some WhatsApp communication to support that. And even if they're good at disputing that, there's also check. So the bank would have provided me back with the copy of my check. I have a copy of my check before. And also, we would have seen when it went in, when it went out. As a matter of fact, we get the payment from the ministry today with a set of messages and deposit it. And tomorrow morning, we had to send through the next the $100 million. So you can see it come in and
You
go out
said you
even
said
before we get to
something
start our
today.
work.
You said something today that I think the viewers will be curious to hear. When your check was generated by the ministry, it was a copy of it was
Yeah.
forwarded to you from multiple sources and not the ministry.
Multiple
As
sources.
in, I know you get your
And
check.
that happened right through. Yeah, so
Wow.
and it happened right through. So even when we on other smaller projects, it happened right through. We have a technical staff which is just engineers who point blank let me know say all right not on the ministry education project. So I'm telling you the systematic challenges that are there. And he said, listen, he was, I don't recall what was the figure that my engineer told me at the time, but I know it wasn't a lot, maybe a $200,000-$300,000 a month. But that was supposed to guarantee that we go smoothly on our project. So we have to put him on our payroll. I mean, I'm not put nobody on my payroll. He don't work with the company, work with the ministry. Well, we put on a foundation, I have to take it back up.
I hope the viewers are realizing this coming from you, not me, right? I gave you this. This is your platform tonight to tell your story.
Yeah, so there's I mean, it's ridiculous some things that I encounter in Guyana. It's
So,
bad
are you done
to
with Guyana?
say the least.
Is what you're saying?
Guyana is scary. Done with Guyana is for done with my heritage and to done with my own people. Guyana is
I didn't.
Caribbean. We have
Okay, I
shared
couldn't hear you
history.
properly.
As you hear me now?
Yes.
I say for me to done with Guyana is to done with CARICOM and done with my shared history. We all have shared history. We are one people, and that is my conviction and belief. Um, it's just like you're in Jamaica and certain community you might avoid, or you're in Trinidad and certain community you avoid, and anywhere in the world. Because of so for the time being, Guyana I will observe and pray for. I wouldn't visit like that, but I will never done with my sisters and brothers in Guyana.
We're still hopeful as Guyanese
Yeah,
that change is on the horizon. And I don't mean, one of the things we have been suffering from here is the recycle of politics, where we have a culture. I don't know if it's. I have not lived in Jamaica where when one side wins, the other side suffers. What I'm hoping is the opposition today find a way to reach across the aisle. Obviously, we can call scream corruption until we want to. There's a sitting government. Our job is to expose it and to call it out where we see it, whether it's in government, whether in the opposition. Because if you notice, what you find today is opposition. I mean, corruption is exposed selectively. Some of the corruption that we're seeing exposed today, a corruption that was always there. Now we have to ask ourselves: is were people compromised, or were they just outright lazy, or were they willing to call it for what it is because of who it might actually indirectly affect? So when you have a government that is governing only for the people in their view that are their friends, or governing for the people who they feel vote for them, then you have the other half of the country that's left to suffer until that government is out of power. So one of the things why I've channeled the questions the way I have, because I can make this into politics and scream all day, but when that's done, I get all bunch of likes, and I look tomorrow, I got 3,000 shares, whatever that number is, but you're still out of your hard-earned money. Your name is still left.
yeah,
You see what I mean? So what we're hoping is for leaders that take politics out of it for a little bit and understand that there's actual people out there that depends on them, that relies on them, not just to go in parliament with a nice suit and take nice photos. Because at the end of the day, when you do that, those people that actually voted for you, now that you're in the opposition, are left to suffer for that entire election period. So what we
yeah,
don't want is an opposition where I'm not meeting with the president, or I'm not. Listen, if you wanted 1,000 for the people that voted for you, and you reach across the aisle and you get 500, it's better than not reaching across the aisle at all. You're now leaving the government to make all the decisions by themselves. And if you're ever going to highlight a problem, you must offer a solution. Now, I'm saying this to you because why I went down the road, that path with you, is to let the sitting government know precisely where the problem is. One, no one should ever have to feel like, unless he goes through a broker that is going to tell him, here is your check, and your check is available, and I'm letting you know that I know is available. So you haven't even received your check yet. But these vouchers are
yeah,
already telling you, I know your check is on the way. That has to stop. Secondly, you can't have incompetent people who are forcing people like you to build an entire school, and the school is now built, and now you're saying that's not how I wanted it, and that's not what I expected, but you're not prepared to face the music yourself for the ministry and say, I was the problem. That man didn't do anything wrong. But who are you? Your voice can never be heard. You understand? So it falls directly on the president's lap. But at the end of the day, we still have to wonder, did that general contractor report up the ladder exactly where he failed? I can assure you he didn't. But who suffers? You do. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
You're going to always suffer. So there is corruption. There is discrimination. Because if you're going to be removed from a school where you become like the sacrificial lamb. Like, we terminated some contractors, but terminated who? You terminated the one man that never had a wall to put his pipes in the first place. But the guy that never put the wall up is still on the job.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and, again, make this out to be a live that only gives me likes, because I am VPAC and I'm in the opposition, and I use this and exploit this situation just so they can say, well, VPAC was able to interview the man that went on the biggest life. No, what people in the comment section are saying, don't ever call in the government. It's easy for you to say that, but I know it's not the same for you who lost the home that you were living in, who lost your business in Guyana, who lost, maybe, I don't even know if you still have the tools that you shipped to Guyana. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for me, even if you're never going to do another project in Guyana, this needs to start with you calling on the administration to investigate this issue and make sure that you're paid.
Yeah.
Yes, there is corruption, and we can see, a blind man can see there's corruption here. If you're being charged $200 million, $200 million being added to your contract, that is corruption. If someone is asking you for $100 million, the minute you get your mobilization money, that is corruption. All of it is corruption. But at the end of the day, we're not going to just point to the corruption, because we would have identified where the problem is and ask for the ministry to look into it immediately and make sure that you're compensated for the money that you would have lost. And we can scream all day corruption after that. But you don't get your money back if we just make it into politics.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in
the
politics
system is
either.
the system is never going to change, because guess what? We just made this whole big live about just talking about, here's the receipt, here's the receipt, here's the receipt. Yes, we want to show the receipt, and we're going to show the receipt. You're going to know exactly who took this money. You're going to know you're going to know it all. But at the end of the day, what is going to change? How is it going to change? How do we stop the next person from suffering the way you did if we don't identify the problem and offer the solution? Because I can tell from the bottom, I can tell when I listened to you today, that you mean well for Guyana, because you wouldn't have sit there and care that the school is not being done in a safe manner for the kids. It is obviously that you're not just here for your money. You just said that you could have imported your labor, but you choose to hire the people right there, which is part of our manifesto. We would have said in our manifesto that the government needs to do what's called knowledge transfer. Everything that you're going to do, every contractor, that's big general contractor that's out there, should share those contracts with smaller contractors. And at the same time, when you're sharing it with them, you should be able to teach those smaller contractors how it's being done. So now when you leave Region 1, there's a couple of skilled people there that you yourself might not have to go back there to do a little hut out back, because they would have learned so much from you. They would have benefited from the project. So while you're back in Jamaica, you just help 25 young men in Port Kaituma how to design a smaller school, because if they're working on this bigger project with you, maybe they can go build a kindergarten instead of having to be a contractor from Georgetown.
Darwin, I want to show you how selfless and passionate we were about our project. Do you know that we identified the weakness in the consultant? We even invited him to the training, and he sent his engineer to come and access training, a training that we pay for. Tickets for all the persons to come in, the engineers to come in. We pay for the hotel. We take care of the transportation for them back and forth. Even the meal they eat, we facilitate.
So you're saying,
and then
this same general contractor, you offered him to train.
I extend an invitation. Yes, I train them for free at our cost.
Wow.
Persons from the REO, the REO office, if that's what they call. There are several members that were there from the REO office. They were actually there when we were conducting the training for the first day. So, and then we took all of them by a bar, restaurants there, and have a lady prepare a meal for all of the workers, and that was in training and stuff like that.
And you foot the bill for all of that?
We foot the bill for everything. Consultant. We invited the consultant to be a part of it. We invited the ministry engineer, Mr. Eastman, to be a part of it.
because you come with a lot more experience than they do, obviously. Well, guys, you would have heard it directly from the horse's mouth. This is the first live we're going to do on this issue, and I'm sure Mr. Lambert will be following up, and we will be back on this topic as long as we have to. And Mr. London, what I would like for you to do, if you don't mind, I don't want to steal your show tonight, is maybe we can go on this live, because I think it's time I tell Guyana the rest of my story that I would have shared with you today. As you actually thought what you saw publicly was all of it. I think it's time for them to know that what is in the public domain is just it's a percentage, I wouldn't even say it's a percentage of what I would have faced. And I have said to you today, and I'm going to say this while we're on this platform, what we're hoping not to happen is to let our story used to further divide our people. Because Guyana, while when we have an election, it's like a huge divide, whichever side you're on, you almost don't even want to speak to the other person. We're very loving people. Very loving people. And you know that. You've been here. We're very loving people. And politics today has been used as a tool to divide us. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that our leaders can wake up and realize that Ghana is no longer a poor country. We are now at a stage where the entire world is watching. I'm sure you saw the Super Bowl the other night. They didn't mention Jamaica, they mentioned Guyana. You saw that. They didn't say corrupt Guyana either, they said Guyana. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So we're the world is watching. So everything we do, the world is watching. That's why your life today has been viewed all around the world, because once you mention the word Guyana, the entire world is watching. So is this the picture that we want the world to see? That a foreigner can't come here, or a person living abroad, like you've been asking people in diaspora to come home. Like every time someone comes back to Guyana, the story that they have to tell is they came here and they lost everything. Because I'm telling you now, it's not just me and you. There's so many more. Today, while I schedule yours, a Caucasian white man called me saying, "When can you interview me?" Because he has a story. He came here and lost his money. And he's also pointing to people within the government that he lost his money with. Then there's still so much that I have to tell you. What if I'm to tell you just one little piece that I want us to talk about? I was granted a permission, not by just some random person, by a sitting minister. So let me give you an example. Imagine you landing at the airport and they're telling you as a Jamaican, I give you 30 days to drive in this country. And 7 days later, you got stopped and the police officer is telling you, you don't have a driver's license. You're showing them that you were granted the permission to drive for 30 days. And you were charged and brought to court. You understand what I just said? That is how broken this system is. If someone down the road doesn't like you, like you might be getting too big of a contract, and who are you as a Jamaican to come here and get these cars? You know what? If you are delivering these projects in a manner and at a standard that is above, like the Hero Highway that we just received, that we're now redoing after 2 years, we as Guyanese, again, should demand that you not just do these projects, but you work along with locals to make sure, like I said earlier, our people are able to learn from what you're doing. So 7 years from now, we don't have to give Jamaican and foreigners all the contract. We can start getting the contract, because all what we're doing now is importing the labor. Call it for what it is. I'm not knocking you.
Yeah.
We're importing our labor and importing our contractors. Trinidadians are coming in, Chinese are coming in, but Guyanese are becoming second-class citizens and we're becoming just laborers and guys that mop the road and sweep the road and do the little cut drain in our own country. Again, we are no longer a poor country. If we were, Jamaicans wouldn't be leaving Jamaica to come here to be a part of our development. But what is missing is proper structure. Like I said, we now have a $1.5 trillion budget. I don't think it's a bad budget. What I think, we need a $3 trillion budget, but proper spending. But if we're going to take that $3 trillion budget and 70% of it is going to go into infrastructure that in 3 years we're going to have to redo, then what are we doing? Because all these budgets are front loaded. All of these budgets, we're borrowing
Yeah.
against our future earnings. So the least we can do is put it into something that is going to last. Look at the Linden Highway. It's been there for 35 years, maybe 40. Look at so many other projects that's been around the country that would have lasted. Now, when you look at I'm using the Hero Highway because that's the most classic, the concussion road. That road would have lasted maybe 2 years, that highway. Now we have to repave it. But then when you look, some of the same contractors that they're extending the same highway that they would have failed in the first place. Why aren't we holding these contractors accountable? You saw yesterday the agriculture minister, because I'm sure you're paying attention to Guyana, are prepared to sanction contractors. Yeah. But that to me is a fluff. Because if you're going to sanction a contractor, that is just a name on paper. Because if that was me, I'll start a new company the next day. That person is still in business. So to me, that's just a fancy headline and Photoshop. But from what you're telling me, you didn't fail. The system failed you. But the people who are actually failing, when you sanction this contractor, does that mean we're going to go after him for the money that he wasted? You see what I mean? So we just have a fancy headline. We just sanction this contractor. You no longer. Do you think that's going to be the end of that contractor? Right around, you're going to see him doing some road somewhere else with a new name. Who is responsible for making sure that we get the money that these contractors are wasting? When you look around, I'm going to give you 1 second. When you look around Guyana, there's so many failed projects because of incompetence. Now, you have a young contractor like yourself that is here, that knows what you're doing, that we can learn from. And instead of that, you're being extorted. The person that's supposed to be giving you direction doesn't know what he's doing, but because he has a closer ears than to the powers that be than you do, you suffer the blunt. You were saying.
No, and you're right. Tell you this, because
someone said that I was over 50 years. Thank you for that correction. You were saying.
So, persons asked on more than one occasion, why haven't I just registered another name and continue to operate?
I can answer that question for you.
That's something that I believe in.
Let me answer that question for you?
Yeah.
Someone asked me why you don't have someone else go get a few lights. No. You know how good it feels to know that you created something and now you gotta go hide and seek and do. No, that is your company. You created that.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
I disagree. Yeah. You got no hide and work.
And that is the exact same position.
No.
Yeah, that is the exact same position I take. I don't want to be hiding doing nothing. We build a brand, and I believe if you truly want to grow, you're not only going to grow with strength, you're going to also grow with weaknesses. You're going to identify the weaknesses and you're going to continue to evolve. If my getaway card is each time I do something under my brand and it doesn't go well, it's just to start a new one. For me, that is inconsistent, and that wouldn't have you generating even generational wealth for your children and children to come. That is like just living from hand to mouth and today for tomorrow. I don't want that. A sustainable brand, one that persons can relate to. And that's why you will see the same name in Guyana is the same name right here in Jamaica. Is the same name in Bermuda. Is the same way is the same name in the Philippines. Is the same name all over. Everywhere we register, Trinidad, anywhere the company have any kind of operation, is the exact same name.
There's a saying: you will learn more in failure than we'll ever do in success.
Yeah.
As a young entrepreneur, is something that I'm sure you carry the same rule, because when you fail, we don't dwell on the failure. We think of how to get up, the fastest way to get back up, because that's just one other way not to do it. So I'm sure throughout this process, if you're ever given another contract here and this kind of issue presents itself, you wouldn't even start the project. You will highlight to the powers that be, say, hey, I'm not even putting one tool on this job because I need back the time that I would have lost. Yeah. Because in this case, there was lost time for them finding a proper land. There was lost time for the guy not having the foundation, handed to you in a timely manner. And all the lost time you weren't credited for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? me? So we got to let the blame fall lay where it belongs, and try to heal this nation. Because my thing is, brother, I know you've been here for a while. A lot of our people is suffering, and they're still suffering. And when you look at the last election, everything under the sun was being promised. When you looked at the last election, right before the election, contracts was given out to small contractors. Now, because we don't have a system in place, we don't know when those small contractors will get another contract. Now, this is why, and I'm sharing this with you. This is why in our manifesto, I was pleading with the government to end this winner-take-all contract. If your contract, if you were here and you bid a contract, you should never be able to do 100% of that contract ever again. 30% of that contract must be given to a small man. And two things is going to happen there. He's going to be able to work on a bigger project with someone like yourself. And the procurement law will make sure that he works along with you. So two things are happening there. You're not leaving there with all our money, because some would have stayed right there. Instead of it just being labor, some of those people in Region 1 would have been small contractors. So when you give the electrical contract to whatever firm it is, 100% would not have gone to one person. 100% would have gone to the big company, 30% would have gone to a couple small guys in Region 1. And same go for all the other trades. When you're giving the plumbing out, 100% goes to a big plumber, 30% goes. And that is what helps everyone to benefit. What we have today is you can actually count maybe 30 contractors around Guyana that's doing all the contract. And the rest of it, the man get too old truck walking, because what you find is these contractors are not even sharing the trucking with these small man. Even the trucks they're buying themselves. So how do you share this wealth with the entire country? You're going to find guys driving down the road, with a Bugatti and share donkey cat next to you. So you have an economy where half the country need an ID to get into different parts of the country, because they're going to say, well, you teacher, now you can't come in the city. And that's what we're developing. A country where one guy is a trillionaire and the other can't even buy a bun. And then we go into the communities and we just put little paint and put little rocks on the floor, and then we call it development. No, that's not development. That's failure. We had manifestos out there, and I expect the entire opposition not to debate, not to go back to parliament and debate what the government has presented, but debate what you yourself would have promised the people.
Yeah.
We don't have to go back to figure out if what they say makes sense. You would have issued manifestos to these people, and that is what we're expecting you to call for. In that, if you thought 100,000 should have go to pensioner, you shouldn't be one if 3,000 more is good. That means you two are lying to the people.
Yeah.
You should be going into parliament with your own manifesto. Say, listen, I remember sitting in this election. You promised the people this, and I expect to see that in this budget. Yeah. Unless we have that, what we're seeing today is fancy suit and people that are acting, but that's not really out there fighting for the people. And that is what's missing. We can't be dividing them more, because listen, we can use this life to continue to divide, but what's going to happen? More of us going to continue to suffer. What Guyana needs is healing. How can we work together? How can we live as one? I see you're looking, maybe you have to go, so we can wrap up this live.
No.
If you don't. Okay.
No, that's not.
We need healing. I grew up in a first world country. I can say publicly, I voted for Obama. I can say publicly before that, I didn't vote for Bush, but when Bush won and he became president, I supported him because he's the president. So for me, if there's a president in office, you stand behind him. But you demand what you have to for the opposite side. You can't just go in the house and just object just because you're the opposition. You object, but you offer a solution. So I'm sitting here tonight and saying what you would have faced. Someone is saying that the man tell the story. I don't know what other story you want to tell, because the man has been telling the story now for an hour and a half. Do you have more of the story to tell? What you would have faced is wrong. Completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm having this conversation with you because I am hoping that your story doesn't stop other investors from coming here and doesn't stop other people from the diaspora from coming home, by letting my story and your story be the reason to bring change.
Yeah,
Change has to
I
start
agree.
somewhere. Let this be the reason for change. Let us realize that the
I
people
agree.
that this path that we're going down is wrong, because one day the president's two children are going to be old enough that they're going to have a business. The vice president, two children,
Yeah,
is he going to be in president? Is he going to be the president then? No, he's not. So what if that president
yeah.
doesn't align with his son ethnicity? Is he supposed to strip everything that his father would have created? No. So that
Mm.
all these politicians today that have friends and riding high, when they're gone, is this the legacy we want to leave for our children? Where whatever you would have built, they're going to wind up losing, because the kind of culture we live. If a black man is the president, the Indian suffer. If an Indian is president, the black suffer. If the Chinese, you understand what I'm saying? We need to be the
I
president
totally
for
agree.
all of Guyana.
Yeah,
Do you agree? They
I
want to know
totally agree
names and
with you,
names and
Darwin.
names. We're not dropping any names tonight.
Yeah.
We're waiting for legal advice. Anything you want to say before we close?
All I can wish for, I say, because I mean, you already said it all, um, is a better Guyana for all. Not for Indian, not for Amerindian, not for black, but for all Guyanese. And also, I would love to see Guyana as a unit within CARICOM that can be respected as a group of people that stand on a certain level of integrity. Too many places ago at CARICOM, and I have met with several heads of government through this region, and I share my experience one on one. And I have never shared my experience one on one with a head of government or senior government minister in any one of these territories were surprised in any form or fashion about what I am saying I experience in Guyana. It's
Never.
almost like I've never met one head of government. The last time I was invited to CARICOM heads of state final meeting in St. James, Jamaica, and we met a lot of them there. And I remember one Guyanese gentleman was standing when I was talking about, the corruption and the level of kickbacks that is happening in the construction industry. And the gentleman from Guyana, he walked off, but only after I walk off, another minister say that's a Guyana, that's a Guyanese brother. He walked away immediately. Right? But he was there representing. So it is
Come.
unfortunate. It's it is unfortunate, and we can only hope for the change. We can only hope for
I'm alive.
um for the
Sorry.
people and for our unborn children,
Right.
because what we do today, you know, is we are setting the foundation for them tomorrow. And
Correct.
I believe you're a father, I am a father, and I think
Correct.
whatever seed I sow now, is what my children then will have to live with. So if
Correct.
we are not selfish, and we are people with the right character and mind frame, then we would want to do it right
Correct.
for those that depending on us to do so. So
Correct.
that is all I have to say. And in closing, and it took me almost 2 years. It's 1 year and something. And some persons might ask why so long. But I'm like, I'm a businessman. I am not. It's easy for people to say them all niggers. It's easy,
Say what?
right? It
I
is
didn't hear the
easy
word.
for persons it is easy for persons to relate to us as African as all Negroes. The
Okay.
N word, and
Mm.
and and it's and rightfully so, because of how we conduct ourselves a lot of times when we have to deal with conflict and disagreement. Too many of us not able to articulate ourselves well, or represent ourselves well in these disputes. So we behave like rogues.
Correct.
I choose not to behave like a rogue. I seek mediation. I send emails. I send emotional letters that connect with the heart of the issue. And I realize that no one seemed to care that what is happening here needs of attention. So I decided that I need to go public. As a matter of fact, even before I came to this, I even have tears in how I will go public. So I started to write and I publish it on a more professional platform, which is LinkedIn. And I would have shared experience there where I know that it will grab the attention of a certain group, but we still hear nothing. So I decided to up the notch a little and brought it to the social media space. And not because I want to tear down any brother or sister or any family, but the here is unjust and it needs to be attended to. I have personally sent messages to various government ministers, PS, even up to the president and vice president level. There's no response and there's no indication for mediation. So I hope that this matter can just get the necessary attention it needs because I am not into fighting anyone. I mean, I'm into that. The bottom line is corruption need to be fought. It need to be fight against. And even after I get my money, I will continue to speak against corruption in every space I see it because I believe it robbed us and it robbed our children. It robbed generations that doesn't deserve it. So I will continue to speak against corruption and corrupt practices, but not in a way to attack any particular individual personally. So that's why I might take so long because I don't think I need to be throwing tantrum and running all over the place. Business to run, and we have people to lead, and I have family to lead as well, and they're all looking at me. So that's my two
Um,
cent, Darwin.
I'm getting some heat in the comment section because I didn't get you to call a bunch of names. But if again,
I have no intention in
no,
calling the
I can
name right
respond to
now,
that.
and
I mean, this gentleman would have
yeah,
shared this story with me off record, and after listening to it, I have decided that I would only be focused tonight on laying the blame solely at the feet where it belongs, and give him an opportunity to share with who maybe didn't have a chance to hear his side what he would have faced with. And I'm only walking that path because of what I myself would have faced and is facing. Some of the reason why I've taken so long to come out because I don't again some of these issues as much as is needed are sometimes not even addressed. And I'm speaking. I'm going to call a spade a spade. Now, I don't think anyone in Ghana would have suffered the way I did by the hands of whoever. I still don't know who was exactly who actually was behind it all. But I challenge you to find one opposition that would have actually reshared my cry, what I would have suffered once. Now, someone asked me a few days ago, would you become a PPP? And I jokingly said maybe I should, because when the PPP has a problem, everybody defends them. You know what I mean? Everybody comes out and stand and fight for them. When we have a problem, people pick and choose who's. Tell me one person in the opposition that you would see reshared my issue. Now you were all the way in Jamaica, and you got more shares today than people that live right here in Guyana because if people select what they want to speak on and what they don't want to speak on, but they don't understand the actual pain that you're going through. So one of the most important things for you right now It's not just to expose corruption, it's to also let your story be understood. So it's just, we don't just pull corruption from what is happening. The listeners, the people that, the powers that be understand that you were not at fault. Because if we just jumped on this live and point to where the corruption is, 4 people got arrested tomorrow, but you still don't get paid. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're just open to pull out of this whole story where the corruption is, and forgetting the part that someone has lost their home, that someone has lost their company, that someone has lost their name, and the reason behind it has been lost in people just telling the story that it's corruption. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I'm happy that you agree with me, and I've decided not to use this opportunity right this minute to just go firing shot left, right, and center when I understand why. Because like I said, I'm a victim of the same of corruption. I'm a victim of victimization. I'm a victim of discrimination. I am suffering that right now. But at the end of the day, tomorrow morning, I still want those 100 employees that I had to go back to work. I still want to be able to go start my ship and put it back to work. Because that was mine. It was mine before I entered politics, and I still think it belongs to me. And this country needs healing.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, and I appreciate the fact that while you don't live here and you can just come out and you can just say all you want to, and then tomorrow you're gone, and we are still left in that struggle, that you are willing to sit here and call on every Guyanese to see your pain, to hear your story, and to share this live and make sure it reaches the ears of the right person, to make sure that you're properly compensated for what you would have done.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm hoping we can catch up again on another live to keep this nation updated on where things are. And we'll continue talking offline and fighting for what's right and making sure that not just you is able to make it back to work, but because it's not just, many out there are praying for both of us, because they would, you know, if you read the comments, and hoping that there is change and the government steps in and do the right things. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darwin. Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Guyana. Good night.
Good night.